I'm somebody that needs other people to do things for me. And there's a thing that you learn of like, I'm taking so much from other people, which is faulty thinking.
As I've been going on this journey to kind of figure out and explore what it means to be a caregiver, I'm curious about the other side of it, which is as a care receiver. Is there something, Zach, that you would want these men to know about the other side of it?
The thing that people misunderstand about people with disabilities is regardless of what our physical challenges are, if we are cognitively typical, we want all the same things that other people our age want, which includes, not having our parents wipe our asses. I was looking for a really eloquent way to say that, and I didn't find it.
Nothing more effective than that, though.
But as somebody who had a disability, I never got the focus of masculine energy of like, you're going to be a man, because I felt as though I needed help my entire life and that I was depending on other people to do things for me. I mean, even though I'm very independent now, like growing up, I felt like in a lot of ways I was a burden to my family. Oof. And I have this thing now where the people at my work, every day someone sponsors coffee, and I'm always the one that jumps in and says, I'll buy it, because I feel like there's a thing that you learn of like, I'm taking so much from other people. What can I do to level the playing field? Which is faulty thinking, but it's hard to get past that.
And I feel like that feeling of guilt is not even like a learned behavior, but it's something that you experience at whatever age. Because even with Leah being diagnosed at 4, she's told me she felt like all the problems that arose from her having cancer was all her fault. Because all the sacrifices that people had to make. Well, I just had this conversation with her maybe like 3 weeks ago when I had to sit her down and let her know that this is not her fault. Because when you're dealing with it, there's a lot of arguments that happen, right? Because there's a lot of stresses that get put on the family, finances, people not being able to communicate, people not being able to empathize how, others handle certain situations differently than you. And a lot of times, to be honest with you, Leah saw these things happen inside the hospital, right? And she felt like a lot of the grown people arguing, not knowing how to handle this, was her fault. So I feel like it doesn't even matter what age you're at, you feel guilty when you feel like, people have to take care of you, and it really alters other people's lifestyles.
As men, we're taught to solve and to be intellectual and to make sense of things, right? And so when a health situation surfaces that actually requires an emotional approach, not a rational approach, we feel like failures, right? The guilt, the problem there is thinking that problems are solvable intellectually. Frankly, that problems are solvable at all. But if we became better at processing emotionally, thinking more about what we should do to help understand something versus fixing it, it would make the problem that much more manageable.
If I could tell you how many times my wife has told me to just not try to fix everything.
Yeah, I feel you.
The guys are learning something.
Yes.
What I've found, people that I know that are caregiving, and I know you talk about this a little bit in your TED Talk, is the intimacy between the caregiver and the caregivee.
Absolutely. That love and care, that energy that goes into supporting the potential of a child or the safety of a person with disabilities or an older person. I think it's just, we really underestimate what this is. And it's about family and love, which is fundamental and universal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But also the basic things of like keeping somebody connected to a sense of joy.
I think in our case, part of the challenge is when she's in pain. It's pretty tough to find the joy in agony. The tension is kind of peaking, the pain is kind of peaking, and everything's just sort of like, because I'm trying to make it better and it's not working. And there's always this kind of period where everything just sort of rises and one of us just makes the dumbest joke or says the stupidest thing and it just breaks the whole thing open. That is where we find that joy, in those moments.
Just being able to share those moments together, finding ways to, make those tough moments, fun moments, I think was pretty cool for us, and it helped us build a closer relationship. And I saw it, with my daughter, there was a lot of struggles because of the amount of chemo, that was going through her body. She started to use the bathroom a lot on herself. And she was sad about it at first because she thought a big girl shouldn't do that. So we just came up with like a cool dance where I called it a pee dance, where she don't even have to announce to everybody that she just peed herself. She just sit there and wiggle on her bed, and I'll know that she just peed the bed, so I'll get up and go change her stuff without people knowing.
It's at once a joy and a struggle, and it's a blessed life. I have a really, really amazing life. And just because somebody needs 24-hour care or much more care than I do, that doesn't make them any less of an individual with passions and interests and a history. And I would urge you, if you can take a step back from what you're dealing with, to remember the person beyond that.
We have the opportunity to put all of the policies, the paid family leave, the child care, the elder care policies in place that allow families to sustain and thrive while they're working.
What are the steps to making something like that happen, and what are the roadblocks?
Well, culturally, we haven't really had the conversation about care.
So this is the first step.
This what we're doing right now is actually key. We have to have the conversation.